Okay, so crop report. We're at the black beans. Things are progressing very quickly because of the heat that we've been having. The pivot's going there in the background because we can't keep up on the water, so we just keep going round and around. The agronomist sometimes tells me, you know, after your next watering, then spray it with fungicide, but we never shut off the pivot. We just spray one half while the pivot's running on the other half, and then we come back later and spray the other half because we can't even shut down. It's such a sandy quarter. But the good news is it's a beautiful crop. So let's take a look at it here. The beans are developing very nicely. We've got lots of pods coming, and the crop is just looking fantastic. So we got lots of beans. Things are starting to fill. We're still having flowering and little pin pods, you know, coming up on the top. So we're still making new beans, and yeah, really excited about this black bean crop. And all the beans look really good. The beans handle heat quite well if you can keep them, you know, the water going to them. And I just wanted to show you the dammer diking job that Heinrich did. The beans are just looking amazing. And we use a dammer diker to put holes in the ground all the way along that row so that the water, when there's any slope like there is up there, it doesn't run down the row, it actually goes down into the ground. And so the machine, and we'll go get a bit of video of Heinrich, he's dammer diking the white beans this morning. And these big paddles, almost like a paddle boat with paddles all the way along, and they're popping holes in the ground, so making a little bit of a dam and a hole, so they're like little dikes of water that hold it keeps the disease from spreading, and it also keeps the moisture on the hills instead of only in the low spots. But it also cultivates between the rows and takes out all the weeds that gives the beans a chance to get going ahead of the weeds. So it's just exciting to see how beautiful this crop is looking. So Heinrich is our main row crop man. He knows how to drive down the rows without killing things, and it's actually a very tricky art. So he's going to show us how the dammer diker works, and it's pretty fun to watch. It's got a cultivator shovel in the front. Well, it has a spike that goes through and loosens up the soil. Then a cultivator shovel which comes through and cuts off the weeds, and then the paddles which put the holes, the little pock marks in the ground that make the water go down where we want it to. Going in between the rows and all these little pock marks. And so then the water, it kind of cleans up the rows, and anyway, it's the beans really like it, and they seem to do much better after you dammer dike. So I'm not sure what all the reasons are, whether it aerates the soil a bit, but definitely the water goes down and the soil doesn't spread, the disease does not spread because the water doesn't run, it goes down. So very fun. All right, so we're back at River Bottom Awesomeness, which is by the forks, by the Grand Forks of the Old Man and the Bow, turning into the South Saskatchewan. And so this is the field that we were looking at, all those little teeny baby canolas, and then it cabbaged out, and then it bolted. And now we're just at the first stage of flowering, and you can clearly see the difference that we've got two different varieties of canola here. We've got males and females, and the flowering's just starting. They're just going to put out the bees today or tomorrow, as the females are just starting to open. You know, they're barely getting going here. Mostly just buds, but they'll get the bees in. There may be some actually bees already out here, but these are the males. Oh, I see a honeybee at work here. But yeah, there's already some activity. Yeah, I actually see some leafcutter bees as well. So yeah, it's exciting. It's grow time now. So it's pretty exciting to see the bee activity starting here. I hope you can hear all that. The bees are just going crazy. Just getting started. They've just been in the field a day or so. And we're in an alfalfa field. Weeb's alfalfa field. And this is just perfect. The bee trays are up in here. And that's where the bees, I'll pull one down, but this is where the bees hatch out of the trays. And then they're just going crazy. That tunnel has already been filled with eggs and been capped. So there's definitely, oh yeah, there's some more capped ones down over here. The bees, they've only been in here maybe a day, and yeah, we're already filling cells. It's the weather's been perfect for bees. Okay, here I am at this cook flat pump. It's Monday morning, and so I didn't get down here on Sunday to check the screen. And of course the moss kind of took over. And so it's all plugged up and it is stopped up. You can see there's just moss everywhere. So I've got to dig all of this moss off of here, throw it up on the shore, and then get it all going again. Mother Nature. So you can see this is on the other end of the screen. It's all wrapped around my bearing and piled up. Yeah, a hot summer with a low river, you get a lot of growth. It's gonna be interesting. Okay, what's the date now? Let's see. It's July sometime, somewhere around the 11th, I believe, of July. And we're back in circle number 2. These are black beans, and this is a very fun time. It's been hot and dry, still no rain, and so we're irrigating pretty much constantly. The big turbines have never shut off. We have to switch back and forth between some of the fields, but the big pumps never shut off. So, but these black beans are looking absolutely fantastic. Okay, so now we're down in the beans, and they're flowering. And they have really pretty, black beans have really pretty purple flowers. So let's see here. Yeah, they're really pretty. And so we'd be, yeah, I'm not seeing, oh yeah, here's the very first little, let's see here, sorry. The little bean pod, that's a baby bean right there. Super tiny. Yeah, just the little baby bean pods are just starting to form. Get out of the way, leaf. Yeah, here we go. So now you can see these 2 little bean pods starting there. They're just, yeah, tiny, and then the pretty purple flowers. Pretty purple flowers everywhere. And they're kind of reaching up and growing and just looking beautiful. Okay, so it's kind of a cloudy, I mean, the sun is out now, but it's been a cloudy day and a bit windy and not super warm. So now I'm at the seed alfalfa fields. There's still some decent bee activity. A lot of good leaf drop in this tent. So the bees are working. They're starting to cap a few holes. Now we'll just look at the seed alfalfa here. We're definitely in full flower. Flowering seems to be going pretty well. I'm trying to find some curls to show you. So this flower has been pollinated, And then all of those, they turn into little curls, like little corkscrews. And those have the baby seeds inside. I hope that's focusing okay for you. So that flower pollinated really nicely and made all of those little corkscrews. So the bees are working. The alfalfa is blooming. And so we're definitely moving forward with the alfalfa seed. I don't know if we would be, well, we're definitely not half done flowering yet, but we're getting close. Okay, so just coming down. This is the cook flat field is all yellow. It's in full flower. Bees going like crazy. Just come down to check the pump with all this moss growing on the river. Well, the screen is still rotating. That's great. But yeah, there is starting to be some moss piled up there. I'll have to climb out there and fix her up. I don't see any snakes this morning. But yeah, you can see on this end, the moss is starting to pile up there. Getting stuck. Come on, baby, you can do it. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah, it's getting all weighed down with the muck. You're now in the yellows. We call this field number 6. And the yellow beans these were our earliest planted beans. And they're looking amazing. And they're flowering. They have a pretty white flower, not a purple flower like the blue, like the blacks. They're white flower. And so now we're starting, because they're ahead, like we're actually starting to get some decent beans forming down in here now. So we got beans forming. Yeah, there are actually some that are getting fairly good size. But we are starting to see a little bit of a blight. There's lots of different kinds of leaf diseases that can get on beans. And then we have to treat them with copper. They call it coppercide. Anyway, the blight. Beans are an amazing plant, but they are susceptible to all kinds of disease. You always have to be watching and stay ahead of it, or all of a sudden you have a train wreck. But if we get some copper on here soon, it'll be okay. Anyways, in general, they look amazing. All right, so I'm putting mineral out for the cows. We got lots of babies everywhere, and it's noisy. They want mineral. So I have these buckets, and we buy it kind of bulk in mini bulk bags, but so I'll show you the mineral. It's got salt in it. It's got all the vitamins and minerals that they need. It's kind of a mineral blend. It's just kind of powdery. We get it from Yitma's feedlot, their feed mill there. But yeah, the cows they love the mineral. You can kind of get a look at these babies fairly close up. They're looking really good. Okay, what are we doing?
Checking on the bees.
Yeah, we're checking on the bees. A bit of a crop report. We're at field number 7. It's field number 7, and this is a canola seed crop, and the bees are doing amazing. The pollination is getting close to being done. I mean, we still have lots of flowers, but the main part of the plant is finished. You can see all the pods there at the bottom, and it's still flowering, but it'll be fast. Here in a week, it'll all be done. It'll all be green, and we're getting some great pods. And if you look here, look at all of these tunnels are filling up. On this block, I mean, just estimating, but I would say we're 75% full on this block. And the one above it, I would say is, you know, probably 60%. And then the bottom one, wow, there's areas of it that are super full as well. So yeah, it looks like it's probably 75 to 80% full. And that means we're getting a...
You got the cunties, Mom.
Oh yeah, those babies are in there. And so we're getting great bee reproduction. And the bees are flying in and out here. It's kind of a cool windy day, but and so it's not crazy activity, but they're still working. It's awesome. I'll just get a little look at this field again. So from above, it's a little bit windy out here. But yeah, still lots of yellow, but it really is coming down to the end. The main pods and stuff are already done pollinating here at the base of the plant. And yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, you can see our bees. There's our bees, they're working there. Yeah, they're doing their job. Good job, babies. Good job. Okay, back in field number 2, black beans, and we got lots of beautiful flowers going on. The pivot's coming toward us. You can hear the water a little bit there. We are running these pivots number 1 and 2 constantly now. Like it'll be, I don't know, like for a week straight we've been watering, just trying to stay ahead. And we'll probably have to just keep at it. I don't think there's any way. The temperatures aren't crazy hot this next week, but sunny and, you know, around low 80s. But then by the end of the week, it gets up into the 90s. So no, everything is looking great, but it's just a panic to stay ahead of it all. The pods are now starting to form underneath, and they actually, well, sorry, they actually taste good. They're not quite as sweet as a green bean that you would get in your garden. But when they're young like this, they're nice to eat. We just moved the cows into this new pasture, and they are looking fantastic. Shiny, as they say, and yeah, they're just gorgeous. Good morning. It's early in the morning. I've had to raise up the screen a little bit here at the pump to get it all cleaned off. And we've had a serious disaster. While I was out there on the screen, my beautiful Harry Potter glasses fell off into the river, and I almost got them, but they don't float, and down they went. So my favorite pair of glasses are gone to the bottom of the river. So Tammy wins one battle this morning. Anyway, we'll get this pivot going. Talk to you soon. Okay, so we're at field number 1, Durham field. It's really doing well. It's headed out beautifully. We've got good moisture. I'm just probing the moisture with my moisture auger. You know, just really nice looking grain. Some of the leaves are starting to show, the flag leaves are starting to show some spots and stuff, but I think we've got past the stage where it's going to affect us. The heads are filling, and most of the flag leaves still look good. Let's just take a quick look at a head here. So, our beautiful little kernel of Durham. It's full. Then we'll squeeze it. Yep, still milky. Squirted out the milk there. So we're definitely still milky. We're not to soft dough yet. But wow, it just looks fantastic. Very happy about this field. All right, so this, pretty dramatic to see the difference. I'm right at the center of the pivot, and I don't like getting stuck. So I always kind of shut off the last nozzle very close to the pivot point. It's a very small area, but you can see I mean, we've got some grain, but it's small, maybe 10, 15 bushels to the acre. And then where the water hits, like the same amount of fertilizer, same soil, but you add water and it's just dramatic. Like this grain is, you know, it's up to my, you know, it's taller than my waist. And anyway, irrigation has obviously been practiced by humans for thousands of years, but it's an amazing, obvious benefit. Anyway, it's dramatic that where we have such sandy, dry climate that we can grow these kind of crops. And this water that we're irrigating with is coming off the mountains, down the river, the Old Man River, and then South Saskatchewan and on through, but then it ends up in the Hudson Bay. The water in this system goes north and ends up in the Hudson Bay. And if we don't store some of it and then irrigate with it, it just passes back into the ocean and turns back to salt water. By borrowing some of it along its path, it's dramatic how much more food and plant life, like the carbon dioxide, you know, the carbon that is pulled into our soils here is dramatic, because without the water, there isn't anything happening. It's just too dry. You gotta have the water to then start the process of photosynthesis and these plants doing this amazing work, because a large part of the dry matter of these plants just gets worked back into the soil. And this soil is so sandy that if we didn't irrigate it, there wouldn't be hardly any organic matter in this soil. And so it's an amazing process to see what happens when you add water. Okay, so we're in the yellow beans, the Mayakobas, circle number 6. Sometimes it's hard to tell what's wrong with a machine when it quits on you, but sometimes it's not. Farming is crazy. There's the tube kind of dragging along behind. Who knows where the tire went? He gave up. He quit on us. Big old quitter. Whoa. Things have changed a lot on the winter wheat. It is amber, golden. Anyway, it is turning very quickly. It is screaming hot. Like it is, well, around 100 degrees today, which for southern Alberta is pretty hot, but we've had it for a few days now. And anyway, so the grain is ripening very fast. We'll be cutting this down this next week. So that's exciting to start the harvest and start getting things safely brought in. Came this morning and down at the river at the Cook Flat, pivot had stopped, and there is a bit of moss, but look at that. Look at that. There's a fence post. No, well, it looks like a bit of a fence post, but it actually looks like maybe a log that a beaver chewed up. Came floating down the river and jammed the screen so it couldn't turn, and then it plugged. Boy, always an obstacle. There's a bit of moss, but yeah, it's definitely the log stopped the action here. It's a bit of a windy day out there. So far I've found 6 pairs. That's what we call cow and calf together. So I'll get them through the gate. We got 5 along the fence here. Get them where they're supposed to go, and then I'll go see if there's any more. Definitely Roundup is a little bit tough on vehicles. Through the bushes and over the bumps, and it's not nearly as effective as doing it with horses either, but I'm terrified of horses. So what am I supposed to do? So that's pasture number 3 for this year. Started out in the river bottom, moved up onto the lease land, and now we're into our next pasture, which is a deeded pasture, and they look good. Well, so far I'm not finding any more cows. There's no animals at the watering hole except for a couple of families of ducks. There's some nice little baby ducks out there on the pond. So no, looking great. So I got the roundup done, closed up the gate. Only 6 pairs that were left in the whole pasture, and so not a bad roundup for me to do by myself. And now all the cows are situated. They'll actually only be in this pen for a couple of more weeks, and then breeding season will begin. We'll move them to the next pen and let the bulls out and bring out the replacement heifers.
Well, pen, it's what, mile by mile? Square?
Well, this pasture is a section, so it's a mile by a mile. And the next one's a little bit bigger. I have 3 bigger pastures that are kind of around that 2 section size, and then we have 4 that are just 1 section. And I usually get about a month out of a section. Great fun.